Hi and welcome back to Broadsheet Melbourne Around Town. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. I'm Katja Vakdal, Broadsheet's editorial director and the host of this 10-minute guide to Melbourne. Fatuma joins us today to talk about everything that Collective Closets has coming up in 2023. It is a big year. There's already so much that's happened. Welcome, Fatuma.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell people about what Collective Closets is, why you started it, and the concept behind it?
Well, Collective Closets is like a female, I would say like empowerment brand that we make apparel. We are from Africa, and so we really wanted fashion that reflected us. My sister was getting married in Nairobi. She already had 2 weddings, so this is the third to celebrate this big moment. So our whole family traveled down to Kenya, and we were like already thinking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We had a little vintage label before then, and we knew we wanted to do something of our own. And we got to Nairobi, and we were like, oh my God, the fabrics there are just so amazing, so vibrant. And I just hadn't seen those colour combinations done in Australia or anywhere else really. And we were like, this is it. We started to talk to lots of people there on this wedding trip and started to kind of like formulate how we were going to make it happen. And that's how the brand kind of started. We're sisters, obviously, but we actually really loved working together. We were obsessed with fashion from like day dot, and our family was a bit of the Von Trapps of like sewing, like on a Friday night. It was not uncommon that we would all 5 of us, be sewing at home instead of going out.
Oh my gosh.
At the time, we thought it was a really good way to inspire women that look like us.
Because where were you? Tell us about your childhood and where you grew up and then you moved to Australia.
Well, we moved here. I moved here when I was 1, and we lived in Altona. And so when we arrived in Australia, it was a total different landscape in terms of brown people and ethnic people. And so we lived in Altona. We were like literally the only Black family there. And it was very challenging at the start. We went to primary school and we found it really difficult. But what we did love and what we were able to celebrate when we lived there was culture. African American culture was very in at the moment. Basketball, all those loud colours like MC Hammer pants.
Yeah.
And we realised that like all the kids were loving that, and that's a way to connect. My brother played basketball, we all did sports, and my mum was really getting into the community. So when we were building our brand, we knew that was kind of the basis, like empowerment, feeling good about yourself, celebrating your culture and your point of difference. And instead of hiding from it, to really be like, anyone can do this and you can wear these colours. It wasn't just like MC Hammer pants weren't just for brown kids, they were for everyone.
I love also in one of the early stories that Broadsheet wrote about Collective Closets was that, you looked around at, people walking around in Fitzroy and like the colour just wasn't on the streets, certainly in the same way that you had experienced, at least on that trip. And you thought, well, there is a way to wear colour and to do it kind of with confidence. I do think Melbourne's one of those places where we are known for and we do wear a lot of black. So your label really stands out. It is so vibrant. It's so pattern is such an important part of the clothes you make. So going from kind of that initial, like that 2016, the launch of the label, and you did mention, your mother was a seamstress. So this ran in the family in some way. It's not like it came out of nowhere. Since then, it's been many years. Where has the label gone from that initial concept phase to now?
Well, a few years ago, we decided to open up our own retail store, which was kind of a bold move. But what had happened was we were wholesaling a lot to get the name out there, and our wholesalers were just selling more than we were. And we were like, we want a piece of that pie. So then we kind of had literally changed. And I think that opening that retail store with no experience, we didn't do any of the due diligence, actually transformed the business from a hobby, because we had to be there, we had all of these overheads, we had some staff, to a real business. And it was really nice to meet our customers. So what we thought the brand was and what women wanted from us was so different. We realised that the women that were coming in were like doctors, lawyers, teachers, and they wanted to celebrate their identity in these kind of professions that sometimes are hard to show your personality, and they were wearing it in a different way. So those 3 years, even though it was lockdown, some of them, we kind of really transformed. It kind of opened up our eyes to like the woman that was coming to us and celebrating that. And so we thought it was going to be more of our African girlfriends wearing it. But then we realized we only got like 20 of them each. So that wasn't a sustainable business. We knew it was going to be women. Like I lived in Fitzroy for many years and I'd worked at like cool organizations. So I knew that it would be the woman like me. And I also wanted to see colour done in a different way. I think there was a perception of African fashion that is really loud and a little bit crazy. Often I would see, and I couldn't identify as this modern Australian African woman in a profession wearing that. So I imagined and I knew that if we kind of got the shapes right and kind of understood how we could match them together, it would be the modern woman, but it's really transformed.
There was a pretty big milestone in your business last year. Collective Closets was named as the winner of the Collingwood Yards Bank of Melbourne residency. Such a big moment for the label, of course, apart from the fact that you were going to be given, a great amount of money to kind of help develop the business. Just a kind of new phase where you were able to look at what are we going to do going forward? How do we future-proof this business? So tell us about how the residency at Collingwood Yards has either changed the business or allowed you to do some things you weren't doing before.
We didn't even know how special it was going to be until we kind of got there. It's such a special place. For us, we kind of did this traditional retail, and through COVID, retail has just changed. As much as people want it to be the way it was, it's just changed. People want different things. I think people want an experience when they come into your shop. So when we got the residency, we were like, okay, this is what we're doing. And then being around all these amazing tenants and really understanding how much we can be challenged. And actually we set up a mini studio in there. We've got a showroom. We're interacting with our customers and actually thinking about the possibilities when, you go to these monthly meetings and you realize all the concepts that could actually happen and watch other businesses bring them into market, you kind of then go, oh, why are we doing it like that? So we fundamentally changed the way we run our business. We would call ourselves a bit more of a fashion practice than a fashion label. We're actually like looking at the elements that work. Before we had a business that was 370 days a week. It was spring, summer, we've decided, no, we're just going to do what do our customers needs. So we're like doing a collection that we know are the basics. We're doing like a cool sweats with like a amazing African Norwegian designer. We're doing a more of a dressy later on in the year. We're actually saying, Susan, who's been with us as a customer for 5 years, what does she really want? What does her life now look like? And adapting that to what we know really works. So it's been a bit of an amazing kind of moment.
I mean, you're involved in these exhibitions, 2 exhibitions right now, which is incredible. Can you tell us about first your involvement in Melbourne Now, which of course is going on at the NGV. Then you're also in the Acme exhibition Goddess. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you were involved in both of those.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a dreamy moment considering we were like, let's just go on a break. And now we're like, whoa, we are busy. The Melbourne Now moment, it was such a special thing to be invited to. The curators were a dream to work with and their guidance and their leadership. They've really been a dream, like their communication, inviting us to the space, doing all the showings and the fittings.
So did they come to you and say, we want to include you as kind of one of the, I guess, important Melbourne fashion labels right now, design something?
Yes, a bit of both. I think they had a bit of a sit down, we want to know more about you first. And we were like, ooh, exciting. And then 6 months later, they were like, what about this project? And they already had a really good sense of what they wanted and what they loved about our brand. So they picked a look that we did in the past that was really exciting because that was one of the biggest looks and collections for us, the green check that a lot of people know.
A green check in what format?
We did it in a full head to toe. So there is a hat, there is a dress, there's a trench coat, there's everything. It's a green moment. And then they said, what are you guys doing this year? And can you incorporate anything new? So we've got something from the old and something from the new. So basically, if you looked at it, you'll know that the purple is what's coming out, which is exciting. So it's a bit of a snapshot. We're also able to include our new Radical Yes collaboration bag in there, which we're going to be stocking at the NGV in the next couple of weeks as well. So it was a real pinch me moment. We're doing a workshop with them. So we're really, really lucky. And then we got an amazing phone call from the people at Acme and we were like, no, too much, we can't. And they were like, we've heard about these bombers. We're we think that they're iconic.
Bomber jackets.
Bomber jackets. Any chance that you could do it for our goddess as some of the merch. And we were like, oh my God.
It does feel like a great thing based on the label and what you guys are about, which is not just about what the clothes look like. It really is. You've talked about this since inception. It's about empowering women and empowering people who, look like you, who may not have felt that before, but also just in generally empowering kind of women in Australia to kind of dress with confidence and to like embrace colour and wear what makes them feel good. Goddess is all about women who, went head to head with studio bosses and were these kind of pillars of strength in environments that were pretty harsh for women kind of coming up through like in cinematic history. So what a special thing to be asked to be involved in that capacity. It's not just any exhibition that you've been asked to be involved in. It's actually one that is really speaks to exactly what it is you and your sister are working towards.
100%. And that was the most special part about it, to be honest, was that, it's not even just about culture. It's just about finding a voice inside of industries. Like when I was growing up, I didn't really know many African labels, or I didn't know many labels that did the things that we were doing. And from the start, we we stuck from a size 6 to a 22 because we're like, hey, everyone can shop here. And for them to look at us and say, yes, you embody all of the things that we think this exhibition is all about is really, really special.
And opening it up, of course, to probably a new group of Melburnians who may not have come into contact with the label before. Before you have to go off, can we talk about the new collection? It's about to come out in mid-May. I'd love to hear a little bit about what that's involved and the pieces you're excited about.
Yes, we're starting our new label, our new collection called Evolve, and it's about the evolution of our brand, but also the evolution of where people are at right now. We realise that the last 3 years have been a bit of a hectic kind of change to everyone, and we're kind of back to this new normal, and our collection reflects that. We're doing lots of fun colours. We're doing pieces that we haven't done before. We're doing things that reflect where people are at right now.
The collection was inspired by a trip to Nairobi recently. Is that correct?
100%. We had a bit of a couple of hiccups while we're trying to manufacture in Australia, and we still have a good base here. But we also found really exciting team in Kenya that are all about sustainability, women empowerment, fair trade, that we're doing half the collection with. And it has just been really, really transformative to be there and pay homage to where we take the fabrics from. So for us, it's a full 360 moment where we're benefiting women and a community in this different way that we already have. So it's an extension of that women empowerment in the way that we think is really, really, really meaningful.
When will that collection be in stores and online?
Yes, it's going to be in stores on the 28th of May, which we're really excited about. We're saying to everyone, save your cash, come in. And, we're doing a showroom upstairs in Collingwood Yard. So we really want everyone to have a really great experience. So we're actually changing the way that we do our retail. We're come in, have a conversation. We're doing a more consultation. What do you need? What's your wardrobe missing? And
so a bit of custom opportunity for people.
Yeah, well, we've always done alterations. So we've always been a big champion of your body doesn't all fit every single item. Sometimes it needs a little bit of a nip here, it needs a shorten. We're all different. Some people got more boobs, some people got a little bit shorter. So this year we're drilling that in. We've got 2 amazing in-house designers as well that are you can buy a pair of pants and get them done within the end of the day, and you can take them home and get something that's really special to you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you've got time for anything else this year. That doesn't even include the fact that you and your sister also both have young children. But thank you so much for coming in today. It's been so wonderful to hear about the label, especially having followed it now for several years. It just seems like you guys just keep going from strength to strength. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much.
That's all we've got time for today. As always, you can stay up to date anytime at broadsheet.com.au or on Instagram at broadsheet_melb. See you again, same time next week.